So Motorola just can't stop releasing new smartphones this year. So right here I have the Moto G13, which is one of the cheaper models right now. You can already get this one for 180 euros over here in Germany. And it comes with a 50 megapixel quad pixel camera, a 90Hz display, and just like its brothers, with a 5000 mAh battery that really lasts a while. So let's not waste any more time and let's get started. So what do we get inside of this box? And the first thing that you will see is the smartphone that already comes with a silicone case, so you don't have to bother getting one yourself. You get the usual paper stuff and a SIM card remover, and all the way at the bottom we get an extra charging brick, which we rarely see these days, and a charging cable, of course. Right here I just have to mention that this one is a type A to type C cable, and basically that's it. So let's check out some of the specs and the design. So the Moto G13 really looks a lot like the Moto G73 or Moto G53. Now on the back you get 3 cameras, one 50 megapixel main camera, a 2 megapixel macro, and a 2 megapixel depth camera. This phone does not come with an ultra wide angle lens, and all those lenses, they don't stick out that much and they are mounted on a separate glass element. Both the front and the back side of the phone are pretty edgy and flat and only temper off a little bit towards the plastic frame. Also, the whole back of this phone is plastic, on which we also get the Motorola logo, and in front we got glass protection by some Panda glass. So the G13 comes with a stereo speaker and a 3.5mm headphone jack on the top of the phone. There's just one part about this phone which kind of looks a little bit ugly, and that's the huge black bezel all around the phone. So the sides on the top are okay-ish, but if we look at the bottom, we get a huge black chin. Alright, now up to some features. The first thing that I noticed as I was testing out the front camera is, as soon as you start using the front camera, there's a small light pulsation around the camera which looks great. Unlike with the Moto G73 or the G53, there is no dedicated Moto app on this phone, but you still get a fingerprint sensor on the side of the phone which works great, and you get a face detection as well. The Moto G13 comes with 128 gigs of storage with 4 gigs of RAM, but when we head over into the storage settings, you can see that about 17 gigs of the 128 are already used up by the system, but that's actually not that bad. On this one you can also find parental controls and digital well-being, so you see how much time you sit in front of your phone, and you as a parent, you can add restrictions to this phone to help your kids balance their screen time. I mean, there's not too much that you can expect from a 180 euro smartphone. You of course get different wallpaper options with different colors, and right here you can also change your light theme over to a dark theme. You also have a quick way to take screenshots. Just press and hold with your 3 fingers on top of the screen to do a screenshot. Now you can also twist your phone quickly twice to open up the camera. Now there are also some more gesture controls, like you can double press the power key to launch the camera or the assistant. You can double tap it to open up any of your apps on your smartphone, or you can do a chopping motion toggle on the flashlight. The last feature worth mentioning is that you can also edit your control panel. So simply by hold and drag, you can remove some features from your control panel, change the order of them, or add new features to it. So let's check out the display and the audio settings right quick. So this one is a 6.5-inch LCD display that comes with 60 or 90 Hz refresh rate. This phone only comes with HD plus resolution, which means that's 720 by 1600 pixel. Now when it comes to the brightness, we only have a max of 400 nits, which really isn't a lot by today's standard. That means you could have some problems reading and watching videos in direct sunlight. Also, viewing angles, they change a little bit if you tilt your phone in any direction, and the screen gets a little bit dark too. If you pop in a video from YouTube, I think the quality is alright. Nothing super fancy with the colors, and since we have no OLED display, we don't get that crisp contrast and dark blacks. As well as the pictures can get a little grainy, which is due to the HD resolution, and the small selfie camera at the top end of your smartphone doesn't really get in the way. Now over to the audio and the Moto G13, and this one gets super loud. It's one of the louder budget smartphones I've had recently. You also have a 3.5mm headphone jack on top, and like I said, the stereo speakers are doing a great job. But just let me give you a quick example. It's all plastic, and I would suggest getting it in white since you barely see any fingerprints on it. The second option is the midnight blue version, but you definitely see all of your greasy fingerprints on it. Now on this phone you also have Dolby Atmos that already comes with a few preset audio settings, but you can create a custom one as well if you really want to get into it. If it comes to the performance, the Moto G13 is not the best. Right here we have the MediaTek Helio G85, and if you swipe around on this phone, this one does feel a little bit slow and it does have some lags as well. So overall not that smooth, but when it comes to the gaming experience, it's doing a way better job. Even if I put my game on the highest resolution, it still runs very smooth, even when a lot happens at once on the display. Also the phone does get warm after a while, even though it's not finger burning hot. The only and biggest problem with this phone is that it does not have 5G support, which means it can get a little bit tricky sometimes if you want to play on the go. So that's a deal breaker if you want to get this phone for the gaming fun. So as it comes to the battery life, the Moto G13 supports a 5000 mAh battery and comes with an extra charging cable and an extra charging brick. Now, on average, if you don't completely mistreat this phone, you can expect to get about 2 full days of battery life. But if you do decide to watch movies all day, this number drops down to about a day, more or less. Another downside is that this phone only supports 10 watts charging. So better prepare your charging brick for the night, since this phone needs a long time. The cameras on every smartphone are like the most important feature. So the G13 rocks a 50 megapixel main camera, but it does not have optical image stabilization. You have a 2 megapixel macro and depth camera. The front camera is a 8 megapixel camera, and you do not get an ultra wide angle lens on this phone. Also, the recording with this phone only works with 1080p and 30 frames, and that's for the front and for the back camera. So even though you can capture videos, they aren't all that great. Now, if you're moving the camera during your pictures, the image get a little bit blurry. Right here, I'm talking about that motion blur that you have on the display. Also, since the shutter speed isn't that fast, you have to be pretty stable when you take pictures. So this phone also have a few extra, like a dual capture for videos and photos, but the quality isn't all that good. You get a night vision mode, time-lapse, and even a pro mode. So right here are some examples for you. Alright, so now I'm testing out the selfie camera, and it's a beautiful day. I got a little sunshine right here, and it is a little bit bright, and I guess the quality is alrightish, but you can record in 1080p with up to 30 frames per second, so no 60 frames and no 4K resolution on the front and on the back camera. And guys, there we have it. I've also covered all of the other new Motorola smartphones like the Moto G23, which I have right here, G73, G53. Just click that video right here to get to know a little bit more about them. And I guess with that being said, I will see you in the next one. Peace.